That settles it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right here from me. I was wrong. I messed up. That's what we're going to talk about in this video, because earlier this week, I released a video that's on the screen behind me where I was doing a little critique of some of the stuff that was said in a recent With the Perrys podcast episode. And I talked a lot about hermeneutics and why it's important to not take passages out of context. And I was just talking about some of the verses that I felt like the Perrys took out of context. So y'all know I typically kind of interact with y'all in the comments. And I got a comment from, I don't even know how to pronounce this person's name. Gilwai? I don't know. So Julia says, okay, at minute mark 49:20, David dancing out of his clothes, that is descriptive. The writer didn't write this passage for you to walk away thinking, man, I should dance so hard that my clothes come off. Like, that's not the point. It's just telling us what happened. Because you just finished speaking so eloquently on how Christians should receive correction, the Bible doesn't say that David danced out of his clothes. It's popular to hear this in charismatic churches to encourage fervent worship, but David was fully clothed in 2 Samuel 6:14 and 1 Chronicles 15:27. People assume he danced out of his clothes from being told this maybe by others, and perhaps because his wife Michal despised his dancing. But what was notable about this was that David was wearing normal garments and dancing, not his kingly garments and acting high and mighty. I grew up hearing it too, but no, David wasn't dancing around in public bucket naked, and we shouldn't either. And so I responded to Gilwai, and I said, fair enough. This might be worth doing a video on. So I'm a woman of my word. And I said this in the previous video. Listen, if I am wrong about something, if I'm taking something out of context, I would rather be corrected than to continue believing that I'm right when I'm not right. But I think it's more important to err on wanting to be truthful versus trying to save face, just because, I don't want people to criticize what I'm saying. If I'm wrong about the Bible, I don't want to stay wrong, especially if I'm talking to other people about it. And this is why it's good for Christians to learn about the Bible and community, because we can all miss stuff. We can repeat things that we've heard. I've repeated stuff like that all the time. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of Bible passages I have taken out of context and will still be taken out of context, because I just haven't learned that I've taken it out of context yet. So just to double check behind Jill Wall, what I did was first I went and I was like, okay, let me go read it again. And I said, well, my goodness, it does not appear in 2 Samuel that it actually says that David danced out of his clothes. And I said, well, excuse me. Somebody been lying to me this whole time. But see, that's how stuff happens. You ever think you be remembering a verse, and then when you go look at it, you be like, that ain't even what that verse said. Well, today is one of those days. So I'm eating me a little slice of humble pie. But I will say this. I read this really good article about this question on Got Questions, because y'all know where I go when I got questions. So now I'm going to share it with y'all just so we can collectively never ever make this mistake again. All right, so this is what they say. The question is, did David dance naked in 2 Samuel 6:14? They say, in one of the most effusive, that's a $10 word, in one of the most effusive displays of worship recorded in the Bible, King David danced before the Lord with all his might. The occasion was the return of the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. It was a day of rejoicing as David and all Israel were bringing up the Ark of the Lord with shouts and the sound of trumpets. David had set aside his royal robes and was wearing a linen ephod, a clear indication that he was not naked. Okay? The ephod David wore was a garment usually reserved for priests and those ministering before the Lord. As David led the procession of the ark into the city, he humbly laid aside his royal garments and worshiped the Lord in ecstatic joy as the representative of God's kingdom of priests. The ephod David wore was made of fine linen and consisted of two pieces covering both back and front. The two pieces were fastened together over the shoulders and held at the waist by a belt of some kind. The ephod worn by the high priest would have been different as it was embroidered with gold and bright colors and somehow bore the Urim and Thummim by which God directed the people. David's wife Michal, now this is where we get into the nitty gritty. David's wife Michal was horrified at her husband's public dance, but not because he was naked. Scripture says she watched from a window, and when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she despised him in her heart. She was embarrassed at his lack of decorum and felt it was beneath his dignity as a king or as king. shocking. In a sarcastic rebuke of her husband, Michal accused him of going around half naked in full view of the slave girls of his servants, as any vulgar fellow would. Other translations render Michal's complaint as David's being exposed, undressed, and shamelessly uncovered. Some of this wording makes it sound as if David danced naked, but the context is clear that he was wearing the ephod instead of the royal attire. It should also be noted that Michal's contempt for David may have had nothing to do with his public performance. Rather, it could have stemmed from the fact that he had taken her from her husband and reclaimed her as his wife, most likely without her consent. Whatever the reason for her disgust, the Bible notes that Michal never had any children, which may indicate a judgment from God, or simply that David never sought to have marital relations with her again. Can't imagine why. David was undeterred by Michal's criticism. In fact, he doubled down, telling her that it was the Lord he was dancing before, and he was quite willing to abase himself in the Lord's presence. I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. David's deep passion and exuberant worship are part of what make his psalms so relatable. He expressed his adoration of God in a variety of ways through his music, his writings, and his public displays. That settles it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right here from me. I was wrong. I was remembering something in the Bible that wasn't even there, child. And it took one of you very, very nice, wise, smart, critical listening subscribers of mine to point it out. But now, see, this is what I mean. Like, we learn from each other. So as humbled as I was by that comment, I do find it hilarious. And it's just a reminder again that we can all get it wrong, which is what I hope came across in my previous videos about them there Perrys. All right. Okay. So y'all seen it. I can admit when I'm wrong, and I'm going to be wrong again in the future. So y'all bear with me. If you find anything else of me like blubbing up another scripture in the future, y'all let me know in the comments, and maybe we'll have to do a future correction in the video. But that's really all I had to say about that, y'all. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming over. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. No, I'm just playing. All right, y'all. I'll catch you in the next video. One more thing. Okay, so I've already said this in a previous video, and I have posted this on my feed on YouTube, but your girl is planning on going to Greece if the Lord wills, but I'm gonna need a little bit of help, okay? So I have started a GoFundMe. Some of you guys already have donated, so anybody watching me right now who's already given something, thank you so much. No amount is too small, okay? I'll take $1. I'll take 50 cents. I'll take whatever you're willing to give me. But if you would like to support me in any way, this would mean the absolute world to me. I've never left the country before. I know that's crazy. Never left the country before, and it's not a mission trip. This is a pleasure trip, but we're going to do some Bible studies, and I'm, just really looking forward to seeing what Paul saw and walking where Paul walked, and I think I could get some pretty good footage and probably bring y'all back some amazing stories from this trip. So please, if you are interested in supporting me and my trip to Greece, please donate to my GoFundMe. And of course, other ways that you can support me, as always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to become a channel member. We'd love to have you. And yeah, just keep coming back and watching the content. All right. Oh, and super chats as well, too. You can do super chats. So yeah, that's how you can support me. But if y'all want to see me go to Greece, please donate to the GoFundMe. All right. Love you guys. Bye.